Kamala Harris's campaign is built around this alternative moral structure in which we are supposed to be not only apathetic, but somewhat disdainful of religion, Christianity, traditional family. Like, that is real about Kamala Harris. Again, forget about the cat lady, not cat lady, kind of snarky nonsense. The only thing that matters on an issue level is the fact that Kamala Harris actually identifies with one side of this particular political divide. And that does have major ramifications for the future of society. And let's face it, that's what we would normally call weird. Weird just means non-central. Okay, typically weird just means an outlier, like a statistical outlier. It used to be, in a traditional society, you have traditional families, traditional marriage, and that was kind of the center of society. And then, of course, you had people who lived alternative lifestyles and made alternative choices and all the rest. And they were, on the margins, accepted within the society, but on the margins of the society. What the left has done is they've exploded the norm in favor of the margins. And that's something Kamala Harris has done. And again, she also happens to be kind of weird. Here she was on RuPaul's Drag Race last week. I mean, let's be a little real about this. Kamala Harris would be much more comfortable hanging out with the cast of The Last Supper on the sign at the Olympics than she would in like a traditional Baptist church in Georgia. Here is Kamala Harris.
Hi, everyone. It's Kamala Harris. Each day, we are seeing our rights and freedoms under attack, including the right of everyone to be who they are, love who they love, openly and with pride. So as we fight back against these attacks, let's all remember, no one is alone. We are all in this together, and your vote is your power. So please make sure your voice is heard this November and register to vote at vote.gov.
Can I get an amen?
Don't worry, JD is the weird one. There's all the cast of RuPaul's Drag Race saying amen to that. Don't worry, JD Vance is the weird one. He's clearly the weird one. By the way, yesterday, a video was released, Drag Queens for Kamala. So here we go.
She can get bills passed in Congress that'll protect me
That's
and you.
Black, white, Latino, Asian, or LGBTQ.
She could get this country back to where we can
An
stand
actual biological woman.
tall, keeping us safe from harm without building a wall. 'Cause she's a woman, W-O-M-A.
Singing about being women. These are two men and a woman singing about being women. Don't worry, JD Vance is weird, guys. Super weird. Renormalizing the marginal. That's the basic idea of the Kamala Harris campaign. But she's not just weird that way, as it turns out. I mean, so first of all, again, this is long-standing Kamala Harris policy. It's just last year that she was gallivanting around in the White House with other members of RuPaul's Drag Race.
Phenomenon. You know it.
Indeed, I do. Phenomenon.
That is a very large dude with a mustache walking around in a dress at the White House. Don't worry, guys. JD Vance is the weird one. You see why they keep saying JD Vance is weird? They have to. Because JD Vance is the VP candidate. Let's be real about this. VP candidates rarely make a very big difference. Donald Trump is the Republican candidate. You know who's weird? Kamala Harris. She's weird. Not only is she weird, she is radical. She's a deeply radical person. Her entire campaign is now being run along the same lines, not as Barack Obama's 2008 campaign, which is the one everybody's all enthusiastic about. We're going to unite America, right? There's no red states. There's no blue states. There's just the United States. No black, no white, just American. Not that campaign. The 2012 campaign, where Barack Obama decided to divvy, slice, and dice up the American population into various intersectional groups, and then try to drive out the vote with each one of those intersectional groups. So in just a second, we're going to get to how she's running this campaign. And it is incredibly radical. It's incredibly divisive. We'll get to that in just one moment. First, after more than 2 years, Daily Wire Backstage Live is making its return to the legendary Ryman Auditorium. August 14th, join us live in our hometown of Nashville, Tennessee. One night, one iconic stage with one incredible opportunity to witness Daily Wire history in the making. I will be there, so will Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Andrew Klavan, Jeremy Boring, and a whole lineup of surprise guests. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. Now, here is the catch. The Ryman, not that big a theater. It only holds about 2,000 people, which means it's going to sell out almost instantly. It's been 2 years since our last Backstage Live at the Ryman. Who knows when we'll do it again? So head on over to dailywire.com/Ryman. Grab your tickets right now. Okay, meanwhile, again, there is something weird about dividing the American population by race, ethnicity, gender. That's exactly what the Kamala Harris campaign is doing. So they've now rolled out a series of Zoom calls that are specifically designed by intersectional characteristic. So according to Reuters, more than 160,000 people joined the White Women for Kamala Harris Zoom call. This was, I'm not even kidding you, called euphemistically Karens for Kamala. Because of course it's totally fine to label white women Karens. You just can't label them cat ladies if you're JD Vance. Right? That's the way that this works. You're allowed to call them Karens, as in like upper class white ladies who really ought to be apologetic for, their race and their sex. But that's what they were doing on the Zoom call. So on the Zoom call, they were legitimately apologizing for who they were while pushing Kamala Harris. Which, if this makes you feel better, ladies, I got to tell you, I think there's something deeper going on that's more of a problem. Here was Ariel Fodor, a member of White Women for Kamala. Again, it's so weird. Can you imagine white men for Trump? Like, that's such a weird thing. White women for Trump. Like, why would you divide the American people this way? But this is precisely what they're doing because, again, the 2012 Barack Obama theory of politics was cobbled together a bunch of upper-class white ladies and a bunch of intersectional minorities, and that will be your coalition. And that will be the new Democratic coalition. Not a class-based coalition, not a working-class coalition. Abandon all those people. You need white ladies for Kamala. Here's Ariel Fodor saying some pretty wild things on this White Women for Harris phone call.
We are here because, as if you were here earlier, you've heard BIPOC women have tapped us in as white women to step up, listen, and get involved this election season. This is a really important time, and we all need to use our voices and influence for the greater good. No matter who you are all influencers in some way. So tonight, I'm going to share some do's and don'ts for getting involved in politics online and navigating the toxicity that comes with it. And spoiler alert, as much as the toxicity can come from the outside, it can come from us too. So first, don't isolate yourself. We can do our best work when we're in community together like we are tonight, because the toxic feels smaller when we support each other. But don't make it about yourself. As white women, we need to use our privilege to make positive changes. If you find yourself talking over or speaking for BIPOC individuals, or God forbid, correcting them, just take a beat. And instead, we can put our listening ears on. So do learn from and amplify the voices of those who have been historically marginalized, and use the privilege you have in order to push for systemic change.
Okay, I'm sorry, that's weird. I'm sorry, it's weird. Not that she's a white lady who's in favor of Kamala Harris. Sure, it's that she's being weird. I'm sorry, it's weird to say that you have to use your white privilege to you can't correct a BIPOC woman. You can't correct somebody who's of a race that has more melanin in their skin. Stop with your corrections. You're being right all the time. Put on your listening ears, white ladies. You have to use your privilege to help the poor, impoverished black people. Like, it's so weird. I'm sorry, that's weird. It is, and there's nothing I can do about it. It's your fault. Stop being weird. Are you tired of the lies and the twists of the mainstream media talking points? Yeah, me too. Join me in my newest series, Facts, where I dismantle and bring truth to this tiring mainstream agenda.